Bambi Goodman. This is what I do. We're just sitting in a room and I just have to pretend there's all people watching. So I've come to Worthing to meet Bambi Goodman. I've known you for years. How long? 10 years?
Oh, longer than that.
I think maybe it is.
Yeah. Actually, no, it probably is exactly 10 years. I'm getting ahead of myself.
I'm not
probably
sure.
22 when we met.
Really?
Yeah, that's when I started working at the pub.
The Foundry. That's it. It was the Foundry in Brighton, in Foundry Street.
R.I.P.
We have mutual friends, Rob and Yoko. I sort of always make out that Yoko's in the other camera or something like that. And they came to see you.
Yes.
And you were either working or we just met there because you were working there. And I remember a selfie in front of a mirror that we all did, a group selfie.
Yes. I think there was a sort of weird sort of crossroads where I knew Rob and Yoko, you knew Rob and Yoko, but I also knew you just from working at the Foundry, and it was like, oh, you know those guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe a year or two later, they had me flown out to Japan and I had my show.
I was so jealous of that.
Yeah, but
you got like nudie models and everything, didn't you?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, but in those days, you weren't really doing that kind of thing, were you?
I've been always doing that. I came out of the womb doing that kind of stuff.
You heard it here first, everybody. You're going to have to look. What I'm doing is, what I always do is I flash up images so that people know it's just not, so it's not too random. You got to check out Bambi's work. It's quite interesting. It sort of definitely feels like it's got self-portraiture in it.
People always accuse me of that.
Accuse? It's not something to be accused of.
I think it is. I think it's kind of the opposite. Like, I'm trying to look like the girls that I draw, not the other way around. Like, I do have done self-portraits, but I don't think there's a lot of self-insertion at all, to be honest.
The one where you've got the cat on your lap.
Yeah.
The oil painting, that does look like you.
Thank you. It was meant to.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, that was for the Portrait Artist of the Year. Like,
of course.
I didn't even get into the local one.
It might have been the piss.
Do you think it was the piss?
Could be. Look, I'll put it up and then you can decide. If you were judging the Portrait of the Year thing, would you have said yes or not?
Thank you. I had an interesting conversation with someone about that painting. I didn't recognise the fucker. I was just sitting outside a pub and he came up to me and he was like, I like your self-portrait. You know why I like it? Because you didn't try and make yourself too good looking.
Bastard. Just you were using the wrong
It was like, you got all the bulges and everything. Thanks, man.
Yeah, using the brush that was too big. So, I've got a list here, but I think we've just, as soon as we know what all the subjects are, if I run dry, I'll just look at the list, right?
Absolutely.
So, I remember when I first saw your work, it was definitely more coming out of the Gary Goodman family style.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Gary is one of my heroes and one of my favourite artists. It was difficult not to be inspired by him. I grew up with paintings all around and I wanted to kind of be like that. And then I kind of got into the sort of that kind of Cobra sort of Basquiat, like folk art, like really expressive stuff. And then
what was the Cobra thing?
Cobra was an art movement that my dad had loads of books of when I was growing up. It's that very kind of expressive, lots of
I don't know it.
Colours and shapes, beautiful stuff.
Where was that from?
I don't fucking remember. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't know if it's American or if it's European.
I think it might be European.
There's something a little bit European about his work, I think.
There is, yeah, and I think especially when he was working in the 90s, the stuff that I grew up with always felt quite, I don't know, Germanic or something. I don't know.
So quite expressive and animals and.
Yeah.
I remember a little bent flower thing you used to do.
I did used to do that. I thought that was going to be my logo. I thought it was quite kind of pathetic and worm-like, which reminded me of me. But I...
Okay, fine, sorry, I don't mean to laugh. But
no, please laugh at me.
We're hearing something about you, because I think it's interesting, and people can look on Instagram, obviously, and they can see the work, but I think, really, they need to actually feel something of you in order to want to buy it. And this is all what I'm doing it for. I want people to look at the person's work that I'm interviewing and consider buying the pieces, because really supporting the artist is what it's all about.
Thank you.
So hearing some of your story and why things went the way they did is fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, like, once I started to explore more, I moved away from that, and I moved more towards like ink drawing, and actually went back to basics, did some life drawing, actually figured out how to fucking draw. And yeah, so I'm kind of like skirting that line of wanting to be really, really expressive, and also wanting things to look kind of beautiful and perfect. And it's I don't always get it right, but I try.
So you are going for some kind of realism.
Some kind, yeah, but what I love is the suggestion of realism, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, to make that perfect line that is so like simple, but it says so much about what is going on in that particular narrative. Like, that is kind of what I'm always aiming for. I think with poetry as well, to be honest. Like, I hate flowery stuff.
She's a poet. I'm going to ask Bambi to read some poems in a minute, so that at least we can, I don't know, try and triangulate you from your two different, or perhaps three different outlets.
Yeah.
Because you sing a bit as well, you mentioned it.
I do. You know, I have a kind of interesting story about that. I was lucky enough to spend some time with John Cooper Clarke when he came to Worthing, and I was sat next to him after the gig in this pub, and we were kind of drinking and singing and dancing, and he was lovely company. And my friend was like, show him your art. And so he showed the self-portrait, and he was like, oh, that's great, because it puts you in some context. Yeah, and I kind of like that.
Yeah. Because you're an expressive person yourself, you weren't just a wide-eyed fan.
No, God, no. I mean, who doesn't love John Cooper Clarke?
Interesting. I definitely remember feeling glad that you'd somehow left the style of your dad and moved into
God, yeah. It's embarrassing, isn't it? Trying to copy your dad.
I don't know.
After a while, like, I think when I got to my mid-20s, I was like, it's time.
Yeah, I think so. But you're coming from it's like that kind of what was I going to say? Something like Renaissance masters and the school of that style, that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And they pass it on to apprentices, and
absolutely.
And the fact that you happen to be his daughter, you're obviously like next in line, but actually you I wouldn't say superseded, but you took what you could.
I did. And my mother as well is a very, very talented artist.
I don't know about her.
Her art is fantastic. She did this brilliant series of mentally ill women from movies, and just did little, really small portraits of them. They were just gorgeous. So I was really lucky to grow up in an environment. By virtue, I make art because I thought that's what everyone did.
Yeah. Oh, right. And is she more doing realism, or?
No. She's I would say her style is a bit more folky and delicate, and she has more of a sense of humor about her work, I think.
Well, there's definitely a sense of humor in your work.
Thank you.
But there's always this sort of brooding menace from big slug men or something.
Yeah, I get a lot of people saying that my work disturbed them in some way. In fact, the last time I had an exhibition was in Worthing, and somebody said that there should be leaflets for the Samaritans as they leave. They were so disturbed by it.
Were they serious?
They were, yeah. They wrote like a really long letter. I think it was a married couple, and they were really, really offended by it.
What do you reckon they saw? Maybe I can flash it up on the screen. And
I think it was the girl pissing with the rabbits humping in a beautiful Japanese countryside. I think they found it paedophilic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's not really going to incite anybody to, that kind of action, is it?
I don't know. I certainly wasn't drawing a child.
No, exactly.
I would like to move away from that.
Yeah. I do wonder. I mean, you just explore all the different aspects of maybe what it's like to be a girl, and also sexuality and what's expected of you and things like that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was really inspired by people like Toshio Seiki and that kind of. I mean, I love Japanese schoolgirl uniforms. I just think they're very, very cool, and I love to draw them. And I used to do a series of drawings where the Japanese schoolgirls were like gangsters, and I put them in these bars and doing deals with guns, and I just thought there was something really lovely about that.
So you've had a Japanese fixation for quite a while now.
Well, yeah, I was really lucky to spend some time there, and when I was growing up, I was very into like that kind of fashion because I was like a little goth kid ever since I was 8. Like I remember there was I sat in the kitchen on the counter and I said like, "Mom, Dad, I think I'm a goth."
I mean, you sort of could pass for a kind of Japanese person, I think.
People have asked me that. In fact, I had a delivery guy once up just full on ask me if I was Chinese.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. So you're sort of half or a quarter.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
I think it's I've got quite a flat face.
Yeah. It's interesting how somebody's physiological attributes can lead them into wherever it goes. I suppose I became an artist because I wasn't very big. I wasn't like a sporty type or anything like that, and I just went more into a build my own world sort of thing.
Absolutely, I think the best people do that.
Oh wow, would. But still, oh wait, I seem to remember you telling me once that you had something in a magazine, and something of yours was in a magazine in Japan.
It was, yeah. It was.
What was that story?
Me and my girlfriend at the time, this is when we were teenagers, we wrote for a magazine called Neo Magazine, which was all about kind of Japanese culture, but for, nerdy little teenagers. And we had a kind of fashion column.
How did you get that? I mean, this is a Japanese published thing.
No, it wasn't Japanese. It was just about Japanese stuff, I believe. I think it was based in London, but you know what? I have no idea how we got that fucking gig. That was so lucky. We were only like 16, and we were suddenly writing for this major, internationally selling magazine. It was weird. Like when me and Poppy were together, stuff would just happen to us as if by magic. We had there was something really special there. But anyway, through that, I met this guy called Daniel Robson, who now works as an editor at IGN Japan, which is a very cool job. Anyway, he used to work for the Japan Times, and he just remembered that I was an illustrator and I did drawings, and I was lucky enough to do some illustrations for the Japan Times, which is, it really is about who you know, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it got your name out there, so there was a little bit of preempting, because later on you did actually have an exhibition in Japan.
I did, yes, with my dad at Wishless, which we both know and love.
Wishless?
In Tabata.
Was that Wishless 1?
Wishless 2.
I've never been to Wishless 2.
Have you not?
Robin Yoko. No, I haven't. I had the first show in Wishless 1.
Right.
And then, that was back in the days when they could fly people out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not have that luxury. Also, oh God, I was absolutely I think I slept about 24 hours in that whole 2 weeks I was there. I was mental.
You were there for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, that's really good.
That's pretty good.
Well, you have a bit of jet lag and then you settle in.
I did not settle in. I was vibrating that whole time. It was a brilliant experience. It's always nice to have fans from a different country, isn't it? People wanting you to sign things. Got used to that too quickly, I think. My head became a bit big.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Japan. It's just such an amazing culture, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like generally like kind of like milling about. Obviously when I'm there I'm on holiday, so everything feels a lot better than it is, but people just seem to have a really nice quality of life. Like people like socialize out a lot, and you know, people just seem quite happy. There isn't the kind of like impending doom of fascism like we have over here.
Yeah, that's true. I felt the safest I ever did, I think, walking down the streets in Japan.
Me too. Yeah, 3 a.m, just walking home, just felt
perfectly fine. And there'll be any amount of drunken people, but it's not in that oppressive, what do you call it, aggressive.
No, absolutely not.
I'm
sure there are.
Yeah, but it doesn't manifest in the same way as it does here. So I just loved it there.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I'm going to look at my list. Americana and Bob Dylan I've got written here.
Bob Dylan.
You know what? Bambi Goodman is obsessed with Bob Dylan. I think she is anyway. Is that would that be the right thing to say?
Oh, I don't know. Obsessed is the right word. I love him very much. He is one of the great loves of my life.
How did that come about? I mean, you're meeting him lyrically.
Well, my dad was very into him. He used to play Bob Dylan in the car when he would drive me to school. And to be honest, I didn't really get it. I didn't understand his voice. I thought music was supposed to be sort of serious or whatever.
Yeah.
And one day I just, I really like, so my heart anchored to one of the songs very suddenly, and then I stole the album, and I must have been about 12 or something, and I just listened to it over and over again, this one album. So bringing it all back home. And it had Ballad of a no, not Ballad of a it had Gates of Eden and Subterranean Homesick Blues, and it was just Tambourine Man. And it was like a volcano erupted and everything just settled differently, and I just knew that I was going to love this person forever. I just felt like we saw the world in the same way. Like when you, I don't really like the word idolize, or I don't like, you know, celebrity culture at all, but I know I don't know him, and I'd probably find him really annoying if we met, like, let's be honest. And I just completely fell in love with the music, and I just knew that I would. It kind of felt like I'd never be lonely again. Is that incredibly pathetic?
Nice. No, not at all. But that's the art of it, isn't it? That's the art of the art that he was doing in some ways, was to reach to people.
Absolutely. And I started watching him in interviews and reading about his life, and I just thought, oh, this is like a really cool motherfucker. He's also like just very strange and a bit autistic and jittery and private, and just a real like fucking maverick. And I wanted to be like that so much when I was growing up, and I wasn't. I was always an oversharer, and I always felt a bit kind of like a yes man, but Bob Dylan wasn't. Bob Dylan was just Bob Dylan. Kind of ended up just being in love with him. Anyway, sorry, I went on for way too long.
No, I like it. No,
sorry.
I like it. No. I start the engine and let it run and see where you take us. Does that filter through somehow into your visual work?
Yeah, I actually I recently saw A Complete Unknown with Timothy Chalamet. That's a new film. I was really cynical about it. I was like, oh, it's going to be so many like teenage girls. But I realized that's actually a great thing. Like if teenage girls can be introduced to Bob Dylan's music, that can only be good. Anyway, so I did some sketches of Bob just because he was on the brain. But he's in a couple of paintings. I often
so in a literal way.
Yeah. And like sometimes use his lyrics and like.
Oh right, yeah. Maybe I can scan through some with the camera later on, and we can upload them on this section. Yeah,
I actually have a plan to do some paintings based on some of his lyrics, like the Cowboy Angel Rides, stuff like that, and what was it? It was a house with 4 and 20 windows and a woman's face in every one. And I thought that would be a good big painting.
He's quite a visual lyricist, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He really celebrates narrative in his songs and dialogue, and there's a
But
lot
it's
of
visually evocative, though. That's
very
what,
evocative.
that's what I mean about it.
I see movies sometimes when I'm listening to some of his songs, which can only be a good thing.
But doesn't he paint?
He does, yeah.
Is it any good?
some of it is so shit.
Yeah.
But some of his fucking songs are shit.
So you don't just love everything about
Oh God, no! I'm not a sycophant.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
But
I'm a bit worried actually. I might have to pause the video.
Okay.
Because Bambi's run out of liquor.
Tequila.
Yeah. Do you want to? Should we do that? Do you want to go?
I would. That would be great. If that's okay.
I can't afford it. I've had no jobs on yet this year, so she's got to buy her own. That's why I wanted to put it off till next week because I thought I'd have enough cash to buy you.
Oh, shut the fuck up!
No, but still, I feel like you're doing something for me, and I know you like a drink, and I wanted to be able to.
That's really kind of you.
Yeah, but
and that's a really nice way of saying that I know you're an alcoholic.
My friend Googled you, and it came up with this thing about OK Magazine. What was all that?
Yeah, I was really poor, and some celebrity that I can't remember the name of had a baby and called it Bambi, and my inbox was full of people asking me to interview me about my name.
What, you had more than one?
Yeah, I had about 4.
But still, that's still unexpectedly
being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
And I thought I could do with the money. I could talk about being called Bambi for a bit. And I was talking to this lady. It's actually in one of my poems, and I was just kind of stupidly charmed by her faux interest in me and her laughter, and I just ended up talking for about 2 hours, and it ended up being quite a long interview, and it's quite an embarrassing article. Don't Google that.
Unfortunately, it's there. So if people look up your name, then you're going to see all sorts of social media references. Something like LinkedIn, if anybody uses that, I don't know what it's for or whatever. And then this
working types.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard of them.
Yeah.
And then this thing, but maybe it did some good for your career.
Thank you. That's very optimistic.
Well, that's probably what you were hoping for.
No, I don't know what. I think I was just hoping for the money, and it took me about 3 months to get that. It was only 150 quid. Rubbish.
Really? 3 months? She's being hyperbolic again.
I'm not.
It is a bit long. When I appeared on Nevermind the Buzzcocks.
I remember.
Did you see that? Yeah, it was all right.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's such a humiliating lineup, isn't it?
It was just weird, but at least, no, I remember just standing there.
Why did everyone look like you?
It's supposed to.
But it wasn't you. You weren't the guy. So how does that work?
Which one of these people once painted on stage with Norman Cook's band Beats International?
Right. That's you.
Yeah, so I got paid the most.
Oh, shit.
And they made me dress like me.
That must be weird, being like in a lineup with people who are dressed like you.
It was a bit weird. And one guy, he actually borrowed this orange shirt.
Oh, really?
Scarf, sorry.
That is your trademark scarf.
It is, and he had that on. And as soon as he came up, he thought I was going to shake his hand. I was going, no, I want my scarf back. Anyway, yeah, it was pretty weird.
It's not what it was, Never Mind the Buzzcocks, is it?
No, because it used to have Phil Jupiters on it.
Yeah, and Mark Lamar.
Yeah, good, cool rock and roll type people.
Yeah.
But you know Phil Jupiters, don't you?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we're Instagram friends. Well, that's how it started. He started following me, and I was like, I sent him a message. I was like, oh, obviously, I know you. Thanks very much for liking my work. And we just got chatting, and we talk like a lot of days of the week. Like he's a really, really decent guy, and he turned out to be a really, really good friend. He was there for me in like quite a dark time, and he had no reason to be. He never met me. He didn't owe me anything. And, can't say anything bad about the guy.
No, I mean, the only reason I realised that you put up a story or something like that, and he had said something nice about some of your work. And
no, he's
he referred to you as a poet and an artist, so he knows you as being a poet because he was Porky the poet.
He was Porky the poet. Yeah, he sent me some of his books actually, and great poet. I mean, he's done some amazing things. He was like filling in for Ian Dury for a bit, which is one of the coolest things that anyone can do. I've always really kind of respected him when I saw him on panel show stuff. He just seemed to be like a genuinely decent guy who really liked music and poetry and punk and that kind of stuff, which I'm lucky.
In like 88 or something, 87, 88, he used to come on tour with us as Norman Cook's International Roadshow, because he was Porky the poet. He was one of the first people in the country to have karaoke cassette tapes, so he used to bring them on tour.
Oh, that is showing my age. I did not know that those existed.
Well, getting students, mostly students, we were doing student gigs, getting them up on stage and having them sing songs, basically.
Fantastic.
I'd like to interview him really, because he's just such a, just got such a breadth of knowledge about music coming all the way through from the late 70s, I would think. Yeah,
he does. Yeah, truly decent guy.
I'm going to look on my list again.
Okay.
You use all different kinds of media, don't you? You use oil paint or acrylic?
No, I can't afford oil paint.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I use acrylic, and if I manage to do a painting that looks like an oil painting, that's fucking great by me.
You can put kind of binders in acrylic, can't you?
You can, but I don't, and I like acrylic because it dries with a sheen on it, so it's like you don't have to varnish it.
Varnish it, right? Yeah. I mean, it's pretty resilient. It's almost dry.
It is, yeah. I did an acrylic painting on on one of those metal corrugated garage doors, and I think that might still be there actually, or probably not. It was a skeleton dancing with a girl, and someone graffitied a big dick on the skeleton. I was like, I was really pleased with that.
Oh, okay.
I've always wanted someone to graffiti a dick on something I'd done.
Interesting, isn't it? I think we're going to have to delve a bit deeper into this side of Bambi Goodman in a minute. So acrylic, then, it dries so quickly. That's the thing. That's one of the reasons I don't really like it. Oh,
right. I mean, you need to have like a lot of softness in what you do, I think. Like
blending.
Yeah, blending is key. I find blending really boring.
I suppose if you're doing expressive brush strokes, then you want them to stand as you did them in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I don't know, acrylic is...
It's no frills. It is what it is. That's what I like it.
Yeah, the medium really dictates the look.
It does.
I think that's fascinating.
But I would like to move into oils because...
Well, I use... what's it called? Walnut alkyd, which is a sort of liquid you mix with the oils.
What?
It makes it set within 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
So it's not staying sticky for months, basically.
Right. I heard that lighter fluid does the same job.
You can mix it with oil paint.
Yeah. Makes it dry quicker.
I suppose that's going to evaporate.
Yeah.
But you've still got the linseed oil.
Yeah.
Which is the bit that is slow.
And then your paintings are flammable.
Danger. Yeah. I think the best of both worlds, though, I mean, having the walnut alkyd, because it speeds up the drying time, but you get
Has it got walnut in it?
It's made of walnut oil.
Shit.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, alkyd is something like a resin based thing, and it's not flammable. Actually, you don't have to have it flammable, and it doesn't smell horrible.
Right. Yes. Okay. That sounds better than lighter fluid.
But you're really fluid with ink, aren't you?
Yeah, love working with ink. I just think there's so much you can do with the strokes of ink. It can be really delicate and gorgeous. Or you can have these big rude fucking marks, and it could be. I mean, it's a fucking spectrum working with ink, especially if you're working with water as well. I've just always found it really, really satisfying.
You don't do so much washy stuff, though, do you, with ink? You're more of a line-based.
I am.
It works really well for your round female figure and the expressive sort of
Thank you.
thick and thin.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's mostly just for convenience sake. Like, I don't really have a place to work at the moment, so everything I do is like in bed in a sketchbook with a pencil case.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't be able to like use sort of watery. I would get it ill in the bed.
She won't be able to sleep. You are pretty obsessed with the female figure, even if it isn't supposed to be.
You know what? Always have been. Like some of my drawings from when I was even really little, just tits. I don't.
Really?
I honestly can't
even
account
when
for
you
it.
were very small, you were doing tits.
Yeah, I was. I think I've just always really liked the way women look. I mean, I am also, bi, so that's handy.
Yeah.
But yeah, women are just better looking, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Well, I'm glad you said it. I'm having to hang back a bit because I don't want to put words in your mouth. But I'm glad you're saying these things because obviously I'm coming from a similar angle.
White cis hetero male opinion.
You heard it here first. Well, people have accused me of such things. If that's what it is, but you can only really be what you are. I think
I totally agree with that,
and I'm definitely not going to apologise for my love of this sort of evolved. I see it as evolved, unnecessarily beautiful evolution in women.
Yeah,
which I don't quite get in men. Men just seem a little.
You're saying that women's beauty is gratuitous.
In a way, it just seems
there is such a crazy level of difference. Like walking around, like say Brighton or whatever, I fall in love about 3 times a street.
So
and I see like an attractive man maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah, well, I suppose I'm
sure you feel the same way.
Yeah. But there's something about the curves, I think, that really are somehow what elevates a woman. And in fact, there's something still slightly about a beautiful woman's face still has something of the child in it somehow, more so than a man who ends up with the beard and sort of rugged wrinkles and all of that maybe before a woman might do. I don't know.
Do you think that's why men are seen to get distinguished, whereas women just age?
You might be right. It is looked upon like that, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Victorian men, young men putting grey powder in their beards so that they looked older than they were, as if that was somehow more attractive.
You know what? I think a lot of women, and I blame things like Lana Del Rey for this, have like young women are now like really wanting to date older men in a kind of sugar daddy kind of way. I see that a lot. Yeah. Sorry, that is a tangent. I probably
not don't really. No. I see it. I see it as definitely on the same conversation, and I think these things are good to speak about, whether or not people that watch these things agree or not. I think we can just say what we think in this.
All views are our own.
Exactly. But my mum was 20 years younger than my dad.
Yeah.
For instance, when they got together, and
I've been with people who are. I think 25 years was the biggest difference.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. It just seems to work.
It does. It does when you're both adults.
I think you're right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do.
I'm so sorry.
No, she's not well. She had a chest infection.
I sure did.
But you're definitely expressing there's something about the sexuality and the big slug bear men and dribbling and things like that.
Yeah.
Is I don't know. I mean, do you know what you're doing?
No.
Good.
No, absolutely not.
Good answer. I mean, you sort of move towards something that just feels like it just comes out like that. I don't know.
I mean, I'm always like. I draw exactly what I want to draw in that moment, and like recently I drew this like big fucking like goofy bear, like it was all dribbling with its mouth open, and I was like, I fancy drawing some tits now, so I just drew a woman next to it, and I thought that
you standing next to it.
Shut the fuck up.
It's not you. No.
Of course, it's not me.
No.
It's never me.
No.
And
is it like wishful thinking? Is like a projection of an idealized you?
No, I don't really see myself in it at all. I'm being totally honest. Like
it's good. I like it.
I see you know, I enjoy, you know, beautiful women. I think there's something timeless about drawing a beautiful woman. Yeah, I don't think it's saying much, but it's there because it's lovely, and why not? And
I think you're right about the timeless thing, and that's why I refer to it as some sort of evolved excellence. That not only does the body have to go like this, but we end up evolving to look at it and go, you know, why? You know, it's so mind-boggling.
It is.
But it has to be nude in some ways in order to evoke the timelessness.
I agree with you. I much more enjoy drawing nudes, and that's because I fucking hate drawing fabric as well. God, it's frustrating. But yeah, there's so much to draw with drawing a nude woman, and if you get the strokes just right, it's so pleasing to look at. And that's kind of always what I'm trying to do, just make something kind of sexy to look at.
It's more acceptable for a woman to do that in some ways than a man, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
In this era, well, not so much these days, actually. It used to be worse for me to be painting a picture of a naked woman, but I think people have got a bit more relaxed about it now.
I think there are more important things to be focused on, to be honest. Like,
what, than a naked woman, or whether or not a man is painting one or not?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be like up in arms about or clutching your pearls about something, like is that like really too much of a big deal with man painting a naked woman like they've done forever?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they've done it forever is not said to be great argument, and I'm sort of obviously using you as my example of a feminist in some ways.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I'm hoping to get an insight in some ways on how it could be looked upon in that way, you know.
Well, obviously there is always in Western society that you know, women do have a tougher time. They really, really do. And oh fuck, sorry, can we?
It's fine. Do you think that you've had a terrible time coming through as being a woman? You know,
yes,
as an artist and a woman.
Oh, I think I've been forgiven more about the stuff that I choose to depict from being a woman. Like, and as they should, it comes from a place of whimsy and fun and empowerment and sexuality. But yeah, I think maybe if I was a man drawing these things, I'd be deemed as some sort of pervert. Not that I haven't been accused of being a pervert, let's be honest.
Would you admit to being a pervert if someone said you were, or do you not see it as being in any way somehow perverted from?
I don't think it's perverted. If someone wants to call me a pervert, that's fine. I won't.
You won't challenge them.
I won't pull on their coattails too hard about it. Yeah.
I just find it interesting. You're often mixing animals and girls, and there's somehow this. It seems like a loud menace somehow. It's like she's fully aware that this guy is a great big hairy sort of dribbling thing, and she's going, yeah,
she's still in control.
Yeah, that's what I like about her. I think she's not any less for the fact that he's massive and hairy.
Oh God, no. I mean, yeah, these women that I draw are coy and sort of mysterious and kind of powerful, and yeah,
it's
femme fatales.
It's a game in some ways, though, that they're playing. That's how it seems to me. As if they're aware what the game is, and they're still playing the coy, even though you know, it's sort of a knowing coy or something.
It's easy to be coy. Gotten out of a lot of train tickets.
Right, I like this. It's great. I could carry on talking about this. You know, there's a problem with social media. This is something I wanted to ask you about. I really dislike social media in a way, but then again, we're told by millionaires in America that we really ought to be using social media to make ourselves.
Yeah, it's funny, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
I just want to say on the record, fuck Elon Musk.
Yeah. Fair enough. But you seem to go a bit like this. Sometimes you're very present, and then sometimes you're completely absent, and then you're back.
The thing that I love about, and I'm going to say especially things like Instagram or things that are kind of just image based is that I get to spend like a lot of time just looking at images that I might find inspiring or might like remind me to do something or will sort of just inspire me basically. And I think that's a really, really cool thing. And I think there's a lot of really, really good humor on the internet, and there's a lot of sort of sharing of ideas, especially when it comes to like progressive politics and left-wing stuff. I think there's a lot of people like coming together and in communities that are more progressive and more sort of creative, and I like those little pockets of the internet, and that's kind of where I find myself most of the time, either looking at images or looking at sort of lefty woke politics. I just like that it is a sort of reflection of the world and our feelings and our desires. It is that, and I don't think I could live without it. I would love to be very, very cynical and very cool and say, oh, I don't have a phone, I don't have access to the internet. But I'm not. I'm obsessed with it. I have a little rectangle that shows me whatever the fuck I want. That's pretty great.
True. Whether or not it actually helps to advance your career and get you some sales is another matter. In some ways,
the thing.
That seems to be almost the promise, like the carrot in front of the donkey, isn't it?
There is a lot of that. I get a lot of people sending me a direct message being like, oh, I want to buy this. How much is it? And then as soon as we agree on a price, it's nothing.
They've gone. They go quiet.
It's very strange. There was a time where I had a lot of sort of men just using it as a sort of way to kind of get talking to me, and then being like, oh, actually, can you send me a picture of your tits? Thank you very much. Yeah.
Is it because
that sucks, man?
I mean, there is that side. Obviously, I don't really get that. I don't really have that.
You don't get people asking for pictures of your tits?
No, because they're not really magnificent.
Yeah.
No, but is it that the other part though that you tell them the price and it's too expensive?
No, that generally doesn't happen. I always ask people what their budget is. I think that's a good way of working with them. I always want people to be able to afford art. I know how expensive art can be, but you know, I always kind of try and make it fair. It's just as soon as it kind of gets down to like, oh, I actually have to pay for this now. The idea of it is definitely more seductive than actually going through and sending someone the money, having that leave your account.
I found that the most sales I did last year was just by sitting in a room with other people in a kind of art fair situation, and I've sold to people that I've never met before and I'll probably never meet again. And all of my Facebook and Instagram friends failed to come and didn't come and buy anything. You know, it's like,
that's rubbish.
Yeah, but maybe the idea that they should or could is wrong. You know, that really the sales are going to come from somebody that I've never met. I don't know.
Maybe pop-ups are the way forward, like little pop-up gallery shops. I think we should do something like that.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Every single time I interview an artist, it makes me think we need all of us to have a group show, you know, because I'm choosing people, obviously, that are the finest artists on the South Coast. And that's why I'm here. So, you know, it's going to be high quality stuff. So anyway, social media, I don't know, but we are supposed to use it. We have to use it.
Look, I hate the idea behind it. I hate the CEO oligarchs and all the money and the data, and all of that really frightens me. But I do get a lot of joy out of it, and I know that's very selfish, but I do. I like looking at memes. I like seeing videos of kittens playing with ferrets, and you know, it makes my day better. Sue me.
Yeah, but that I can see that's sort of a form of entertainment. But then you put something up, and then you're waiting for people to like it, or you know.
Yeah, no, I am really bad for that. I do kind of end up like checking. How many likes is this?
Not as much as the other ones.
I know.
No, I hate it. No.
I hate it too. Oh well.
So the idea, though, I don't know, getting a group show, getting things. I don't know. We've got to do it ourselves, really. It's not going to come to us, I think. And approaching galleries is, ugh.
I know. Shit.
It's really hard. Obviously, they're sitting there. They've got emails pinging in.
Yeah.
And they've got to go through them. But really, what they want to do is wander around and discover something, and then go, "I've discovered this person.
Yes.
I want to," and then I'm going to hear their story and stand behind them and then sell their work. They don't respond very well from being cold called, so to speak, do they?
No, they don't. And you know, I've been well, I don't know, unlucky or fortunate to see, you know, my dad and my mum sort of go through that over and over again, like being rejected from galleries and like pretty much since I was born. I remember like my dad being like, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, you know? And it's really, really difficult to be an artist, and especially nowadays where it's kind of seen as, you know, gratuitous or a selfish thing to do.
What, be an artist?
I think so.
Well, it seems like a luxury thing,
doesn't it? Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who go, oh, just go stack some shelves. It's like,
well, there is that. You could do that, true, but that would discount the fact that some people are just born like this.
Yeah.
And once you've opened up the door of creativity, it's very hard to close it again.
I totally agree with you, and I think it's one of the most sort of valiant things you can do if you're able to do it. Like, that's why we live, right? To consume art and music and poetry and film, and those are people that make life worth living. But
we're creating it. We just can't help it, I suppose. I like to think of the artist as being somehow a conduit between something that couldn't be expressed in any other way, and then making it expressed into the outside world. It's not science, is it? It's not engineering, but it's a nebulous feeling that sort of somehow creativity makes you go, and you slap it on the paper and you go, oh, what was that? I don't know. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Like, I often like find when I make like a piece of work I'm really proud of, whether it's a poem or a drawing, people are like, oh, how did you get the idea? It's like, I don't fucking know. It just came out. It's a really beautiful thing, actually. Like, I could spend days and days trying to write a poem, and then one day I'd go to the pub and it just comes out. Talking of which, get your book out.
All right.
Read us something.
If you insist.
I do.
All right. What kind of thing you wanting?
I don't know. Because I think we've gone down pretty much all of the lists.
I can read a couple of short ones and a couple of haikus, maybe.
I'll do whatever you like. Whatever you want to bless us with.
Oh, thank you very much. All right. It's called Birds. I saw your name written down. It made me wet. Your angles are erotic. Your size, your voice, your mouth. I am a boar rutting hopelessly into a corner. I am a frightened whippet in a cage whimpering in its own piss. And you are why birds suddenly appear. That's when I had a crush on someone.
Sorry, I've gone into my stress.
Did I make you cough?
Stress cough. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh wait. Oh, okay. So in the picture, when there's the naked girl, you're also the big. You're actually.
I'm not in it at all, Rec.
Ah.
It's just an image I wanted to produce. I'm sorry. I know that's boring, but
no, it's not. No, I just anyway. Carry on.
This is about lockdown when I put on some weight. You got a bit fat, but you are not a Renaissance goddess. You are David Brent in a mini skirt. You are a condom full of yogurt. You are a fistful of clown ham. You are an alabaster fatberg, an oiled up hoglet, a significant chunk, a sack of loose blancmange, and an expanse of curds. And you blame your medication. Right.
You actually go to some poetry nights?
I do, yeah. I actually really want to put on some, because I know this really, really excellent poet / comedian called Daniel Searle, and he was really kind enough to invite me to read recently in Brighton, and it's so much fun, and the feeling of having people laugh at words that you wrote is fucking indescribable. I love it.
Oh, so
it feels really good.
There's some comedy in what you...
Yeah, there has to be. Otherwise, I think it's all a bit sort of glib.
Because you're Gary Goodman, he also writes and reads poetry, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, he does. Yeah, we're pretty much the same person, Gary and I.
Nonsense. But, you know, he's as direct as you, I would imagine.
Definitely, yeah. I don't like flowery stuff. I remember I tried to read Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita, and I just couldn't get past the flowery fucking language. Just say what you mean. Anyway, got some haikus.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going to read one. Your thoughts are rotten. They congeal and clump and spit a slobber of lust.
I'm glad I'm allowed to laugh.
Thanks. Of course you're allowed to laugh. This is actually the one that I mentioned in the OK Magazine interview. It's going to be the last one. Okay. I was interviewed by a magazine that looks like a serial killer's scrapbook. They wanted to know what life was like with such a stupid name. I spoke to someone on the phone for over 2 hours. My ego was taken in foolishly by her flirty laugh and feigned interest. The headline read, "My name is Bambi. My boyfriends are embarrassed of me." I do not recall saying this. But they were not wrong. R was my first boyfriend. He was adamant he would make it as a famous rock star. He was 14 years my senior. He would explain to me the correct way to say thank you and scold me if he saw your dirty underwear in the washing basket. When I left him, his debilitating eczema would miraculously vanish, as if I were a memphitic morphous clump of toxins. He says that stress is no incentive to be kind, and I believe him. I meet B. B is soft and strong and patient and has Disney eyes until I came along. He tells me he has a growth in his eye that rendered him half blind. It was my fault. When I moved out, I asked a friend I had known for a long time for a date, and he responded, "I just want an easy life." Now there is you. You is composed of Van Gogh colours, all crack-lipped kisses. You who are human sunshine, warming the dismal corners of my wretched heart. That's about my new boyfriend.
Oh, poor Bambi. Is that what we're supposed to say?
No, absolutely not.
You got a new
Laugh
boyfriend?
and point. Yeah.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Any murals? What other stuff happening?
No murals.
Would you do some?
Yeah, absolutely. I love working big.
Because we did. That wasn't the last time I saw you.
Oh my god, I think
Brooklands
it was.
Park.
Yeah, I hated that.
I know you did.
I hated what I did. I just thought it was shit.
You did dancing creatures.
Yeah.
It's only because you couldn't do nudie girls.
I know. I was lost.
Oh. I really enjoyed this. Actually, I suppose I don't really know what else to say. Maybe I'll just see whether you have things that you want to tell us that we haven't really managed to touch on.
I'm not sure. I think I've spent enough of people's time.
She's kind, isn't she? Well, all right. Well, I'm going to say thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bambi Goodman, for coming and talking to me.
No, that's kind of you to ask.
Well, you were first on my list. It's just taken me a while.
That's not true.
Well, I had to.
You say that to all the girls.
I had to pluck up the courage to ask you.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to be hitting up all the images. Oh yeah, but by the way, what because you are formidable. How can people follow you and see your work? What should they look at?
People should follow at Bambi SG, all one word, on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's where I post my paintings, drawings, and poetry.
Oh, all on there. Okay. Yeah. Do you use any others?
No, I'm on Twitter, but it's just my sort of deranged musings.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
That was good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really glad.
You said You said that you've been singing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I want to know about this. I've not really heard.
Don't make me do it.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I won't. But
got a bad throat.
yeah. No, but it's interesting because obviously you've been writing poetry. You influenced by Bob Dylan, and I suppose you started going to open mic nights, and then you stepped up.
I think that look, Worthing is great and it gets better every year, but the nightlife is subpar. Let's be honest.
Come on, guys.
And I just started going to pubs, and then one day I went to a pub and there was an open mic night, and it just I liked that people were doing some. Oh, excuse you. You're all right.
Sorry, yeah, I can feel it coming. I'm not allergic to this situation. Carry on.
No, I enjoyed because it was people doing mainly folk music and stuff like that, and I really like folk music. And I got talking to the guy who was like organising it. His name's Tim, really lovely guy, and I've been going, probably about 3 times a week to these open mic nights in Worthing, and they're just supportive and lovely and full of really like genuinely passionate people, interesting people, and non-pretentious people, which I really like. And no one minds if people get up and do the same thing every week. It's just like a little tradition now. It's a lovely thing. But I do sing.
Yeah, but how did it happen? I mean, had you always been singing all your life, and you thinking,
in the shower? Right? No, I'd never thought I was all right. Like I always enjoyed doing it. I liked making a sound with my face.
Well, when you read your poetry, you're definitely projecting your voice more. You've got an actual persona.
You have to, otherwise it just sounds like talking.
Oh, okay.
Because mine don't rhyme.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to watch that back. But then standing up, I mean, you then you're saying, "Oh, can you play the chord changes to this?" and I'll sing it over that. Or are you singing well-known songs already?
I usually do a bit of Johnny Cash, a bit of Bob Dylan, and a bit of Tom Waits, that kind of thing. People know how to play that on guitar usually. Yeah. It's just fun. It's really casual. There's no right or wrong to it. I've heard the worst singers in the world, and everyone gets the same amount of round of applause. It's a good thing.
It feels actually feels good in your body somehow to sing, doesn't it?
It does. It feels great.
Like outward hum and
there's something nice about being on stage as well. Like,
okay.
It's nice being clapped. I mean, it goes on in my head all the time, but it's nice to have it real life.
Even if you're in real life.
No, it's a full stadium.
Oh, you need it.